Okay, so tonight's video is on finding theme in fiction. At the end of this presentation, you'll have a better idea on how you can write a summary of a fictional text and how to support your idea of theme in that summary. So let's get started. So what is theme? Well, theme is basically the lesson you should learn from the story or the author's message. The problem with it is that you as the reader have to infer. Remember that infer means to read between the lines to find the theme. The author does not state the theme in the text of the story. You have to be a super sleuth to figure it out. And the other thing is to remember that themes are bigger than the story. So you have to think about something that's going to apply to everyone, not just the characters of that story. So let's take a look at an example. Here's the story. Tim hated his old baseball glove. He wanted to play with a new glove, but he didn't have any money, so he decided to steal it. But when Tim got caught stealing the glove, his parents said he couldn't play baseball all summer. So, what's the theme? If you said don't steal, I really want you to think bigger than that. This shows that you understand the story, but it's not necessarily applying higher order thinking skills or thinking about everyone in general. Instead, it'd be great if you could think more like the theme of the story is that if you want something in life, you should work for it. So you're going an extra mile to fully explain your idea. Now, how do you identify a theme? Well, again, remember they're not explicit or clearly stated. In other words, you can't just put your finger on a line of text and say, hey, the author's telling me that the theme is here. The themes are implied. Plus, you as the reader can totally come up with your own idea of theme, and the person sitting right next to you can have a completely and totally different idea, and that's okay, as long as you can support your idea from the text. You have to remember again that themes are bigger than the story. So there's a small world of the story, and then there's the big world of the theme. It applies to the real world, and it applies to everybody, not just the characters in the story. Now again, themes are about the big picture. Hopefully at this point you've read Rain, Rain, Go Away, and I'm not spoiling the ending for you. But when we read Rain, Rain, Go Away, if you said that the theme of the story was that aliens are made of sugar or that aliens melt in the rain, you're thinking, again, only about the small world of the story and not really the big picture. So you've got to think bigger, and you've got to think real world advice. Even though this is a story about aliens and weird next door neighbors, there's got to be something that applies to all of us. So go beyond small world of the story and apply it to everyone. And remember, there's a reason that we talked about the 1950s and 60s and knowing your historical context. And I think that also helps with trying to figure out really what the author is trying to tell you. So the first thing is, go ahead and go back and take a look at your topic sentence for the summary paragraph. Did you use the name it, verb it, big picture strategy? I know you did because I did it with you. Well, if you take a look at the end of your topic sentence, the big picture, that should theoretically be your theme of the story. That's the whole point, really. Can you find textual support in the story? Again, I helped you do this. Look for a quote that will support this idea. And again, remember that the quote could be about the characters, the setting, the plot of the story. It doesn't really matter. As long as it relates to your idea of theme, it will help support your idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at another example. I picked The Hunger Games because I'm hoping at this point most of you have read the book or seen the movie. If we're looking at a mastery topic sentence, thinking about our word choice, the way that we're putting things together, our verb it strategy, all of that good stuff, this is something I might have come up with. The novel The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins explores, there's my verb, right, the concept of protecting your loved ones at all cost. This is what I'm saying is the big picture or the theme of the story. There's obviously a lot more themes you could pull from this novel or movie, but I'm going to use this particular idea. Now, in order for this to work, I'm going to have to look to find quotes from the story that support this idea. I'm specifically thinking of, during the ceremony where the names are pulled and she cries out that she's the tribute just to protect her sister. And then, of course, you could go back through and find any piece throughout the actual part where she's in the games where she knows that she has to come back and protect her sister and her mom. Or you could even talk about the part where she says goodbye to Gale and says protect them while I'm gone. I will come back so that I can protect them later. So, I mean, there's lots. I'm just like going right now, trying to think of all these different things that will actually, support my idea. And as long as I can find support, then I know I'm going down the right path. So again, theme can be anything you want it to be, because you're taking, if you remember how we infer, we're taking our schema, we're taking, what we're reading in between the lines, adding that all together and coming up with our own interpretation. So as long as you can find support, then your theme is golden. All right, so how do you put this paragraph together? Well, step one, use that name it, verb it, big picture strategy we've been working on to give us the title of the story as well as the theme you settled on. And then use the jot dots to help write a summary of the story. And then finally, try to add a quote or two that supports your idea of theme. Steps 2 and 3 could be interchangeable. You probably are going to add a quote in between a jot dot, right? Bottom line, make the paragraph flow, make sense while you're explaining your understanding of this real-world advice from the story and how the quote supports it. All right, you're finished. Don't forget to scroll down and do the digital whisk for your summary and question, and you'll be finished for tonight. Hopefully that wasn't too hard. Thanks, guys. Bye.